Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to look and play kind of a forgotten tank. Yes, I know people still play it because they grind the line, but the tank is nowhere near what it used to be, and nowhere near as popular as it used to be either. Of course, we are talking about the T-44. It used to be one of the most popular medium tanks in Blitz, but that was back in the day, before all the premium tanks, before all the new lines, when we only had 4 or 5 tech tree lines. It used to be very, very popular. Not only that, but the reason it used to be popular because it used to be a really good tank. You could play it however you want. You could play it with this gun. You could play it with the big gun that does high alpha. You could play it in many different ways, and it was an enjoyable tank to play. And the tanks that led from the T-44 was also really good, and overall the line was really, really good. It was the whole line was very enjoyable to play. Of course, you got the tier 9, the T-54. It was one of the most popular tanks in the game, not just tier 9, but it was one of the most popular tanks in the whole game. And then, of course, leading from that, you've either got the Object 140 or the T-62. Now, back in the day when this tank was relevant, it was all about the Object 140. Nowadays, it's more about the T-62, but the fact that you can choose 2 tanks from sort of the T-54 instead of just the one, and then have to start a whole new tech tree, was actually quite a good idea. And people can choose, you know. Some people like the T-62, but a lot of people like the Object 140, and now it's kind of the other way around. So we're going to have a couple of games in the tank to see if it's still got it. So of course it does have a few guns. I play, or you should play it with the end gun, which is this gun right here, because actually the tier 8 gun isn't as good, and it's kind of the meme gun, the big gun, the 122mm 400 plus alpha. Yeah, this is the kind of the meme gun. Of course it's higher alpha, but the reload is much longer, and the DPM, you're losing 729 DPM. So this is the gun absolutely that you should use. So of course let's just go back. Where are we? So the armor, 120mm on your turret armor, nothing fantastic, but to be fair, if you do come up against those tier 7s, especially if it is mediums, light tanks, then yeah, it's not too bad actually. You can get some troll bounces, so the turret is actually not too bad. Of course it's not absolutely solid, but it's not bad. You can get bounces on that. Damage per minute, just over 2000 DPM. Average kind of thing for a medium tank, if you like. The reload time is 8.14. Penetration, we are using calibrated shells. To be honest, I'm moving away from the rammer with a lot of tanks and just using the calibrated shells. Even if you are only getting a little bit more pen, it sometimes is still worth that. So 189 on your AP and 247 on your APCR, 55 on your HE. Your damage, you're doing 280 per shot with your AP, well, max, not average, sorry, 240 on your APCR and 350 on your HE. Aim time, nothing to write home about for a medium tank, 3.5. You know, nothing really bad, but it's not great. Gun dispersion is not too bad at 0.317. You'd have 7 degrees of gun depression with a top speed of 51 kilometers per hour. So when I went to play the tank, of course I went to play it, and to be honest, like, even after I played it, I wasn't sitting there thinking, you know, this tank is shit. I didn't think that at all. Actually, I thought, you know, it's still got it. It does still have it. Yes, there are some better mediums out there, and again, some better premiums out there. You've got maybe the Mod 1, which is it's got armor. You know, Type 59, which I suppose has got armor, but it's still got it. Well, yeah, I've lost half of my hit points already. Straight away in the game, 30 seconds into the game, I've lost half of my hit points. But I think that kind of helped me actually me losing that hit points kind of helped me, because it's now making me play the tank completely different than I would have played the tank literally 30 seconds ago. So it's now making me be a little bit more reserved and actually try to not lose any more hit points. Now I do know that there are a couple of tank destroyers actually camping, and I've just been shot again. If I would have died there, I've left with 86 freaking hit points. If I would have died, then what a stupid bad game that would be on my behalf. So yeah, kind of noobed out right there. For the first minute of this game, it hasn't gone really well for me, but I do come back, and actually I don't perform too badly, to be fair. I pretty much stay alive, and I do help the team, I may say so myself. One thing about the tank that I do really love is the camouflage. I think the camouflage for this tank is fantastic. I think it looks so beautiful, and in my opinion, probably one of the best camouflages in the game. Very nice camouflage, and I can't wait for this tank to get the upgraded model. I think with this camouflage, it will look one of the best, one of the most beautiful tanks in the entire game. But yeah, absolutely love the camouflage on the T-44. So yeah, it's still a nice tank. It really is still a nice tank. Of course, it's not as nice as it used to be. It doesn't perform as well as it used to be. But you know, it's years. It's been years since this tank has actually performed and actually been a relevant kind of tank. Nowadays, people only play it to grind. Some people might even use free XP to skip it. But back in the day, it was a tank that you didn't want to skip. You didn't want to use free XP to get the T-44, because it was actually a generally nice tank to play. It was an enjoyable tank, and people used to play the T-44 even if they had the tier 9. If you're going to play tier 8, people still played the T-44 even if they've got the tier 10. Because it was an enjoyable tank to play. But nowadays, as I've said, there's better tanks out there. There's more enjoyable tanks out there, and yeah, people are just not playing it. And once they got the T-54, it's kind of one of those that you either sell or it just stays in your garage and collect dust. And it's a shame, you know. I don't like that. I like tech tree tanks, especially back in that were relevant years ago. I do like people to play them, not just to grind. And that's, I think, something that wargaming should now look at. You know, it has been years. And I think wargaming should look at these tanks when they're rebalancing them. You know, they rebalance quite often. They do rebalance quite often, and I just think that if wargaming does rebalance these tanks that were relevant, I'm not saying make them OP, but you know, you don't want to play a tank just for grinding, and that is what you see quite often in this game. Not just this line, but to be honest, most lines. People, the tier 7, the tier 6s, the tier 8s, and sometimes even the tier 9s. People are only playing them to grind, and once they got that next tank, then that's it. They never play the tank again. So I do think that wargaming should sort of rebalance these tanks once in a while, just so people go and play them for a bit of fun, and not have to play a premium tank. And you know, that's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Should wargaming rebalance these old tanks that have not been touched really for a very long time, because they're just not popular? Wargaming should make them popular again. Make them play them. Don't make them OP. Don't make them like absolutely insane, but just make them so they're more fun to play. And you know, I just want people to play them without having to grind, just to go and play. So let me know your thoughts on on that. Do you think wargaming should do that? Not just the T-44, but other tanks that no one's just playing no more. Make people play them. Make them good. Make people play them by making them good. So we're going to finish this game. We've got 4 tanks left alive, as you've seen by the first game as well. I got absolutely annihilated, but I've managed to stay alive, and I'm still going to manage to do a bit more damage. I'm going to have to do a bit more damage because it is now a 2 versus 3. I could have died there, was a little bit risky. The same here. If that Pantera was looking at me instead of this AMX, I think it would have been game over. But luckily, I managed just to get out of the way from that that guy to the right, the Panther, and I do manage to kill the Pantera. So all of a sudden, it is a 2 versus 1. We're winning on supremacy points. Now I just need to stay alive. The Panther 2's got good DPM. I just need to stay alive, and I could potentially take one shot from him as well, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to wait for him to turn. You can see him looking at me, but as soon as my guy goes out, we do manage to get a shot off, and of course the Panther is now going to go for the AMX. So I get a free little bit of damage into this guy, leaves him on 259, and as soon as he is going to kill my guy, I know I can at least get one shot into him, but sadly it does bounce. So now with the cap points, I'm not risking anything. You know, you can come to me, Sunshine. Hopefully I'll high roll, but with 2 cap points, he's going to have to do something pretty quick. But sadly for him, he doesn't, and I do manage to kill him anyway. End the game with 4 kills, 3k damage, and a nice mastery badge. So it's still got it. It does still have it. It still can be a fun tank to play, but it's just not what it used to be. Let me know your thoughts on the T-44. Is it a tier 8 medium that you still play after all these years? It is one of those tanks that you go out there, have a bit of fun in, or is it a tank that you just haven't played since you got that T-54? Let me know in the comments below, but for now, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye-bye.